back. Here at the house, we ended up getting like 1.4 inches of rain, and it came over like a full day, so it just soaked in and everything is wet. We'll take it. It would have been nice if we could have got those other 2 fields done, but won't take too, once to get things going, shouldn't take too long to finish them. However, you can see them in the combine. I'm gonna work on that a little bit because Dad's circle of corn out here, it was a 100-day corn that was planted like 3rd of May. It's getting very close. Like, it's close. It's gonna need picked soon. But so we're gonna work on a few things. My corn head, it's got the option for row sense. That's what those arms right there are, is a corn row, comes in between those two, and it tells the combine to go left or right. I've not got that working before. And I've got the activation. However, right now I'm doing software updates. We got these screens started last year. I was under the understanding they auto updated, and I noticed they never were, and I happened to look the one day and we are still way behind. So we're doing that real quick, and then I might call someone and ask for help, because the screen doesn't even sense that it's got row sense. Makes sense. But I want to get that working. I think Mom's gonna end up driving the combine this year. Even if I was driving the combine, I want it working. I've got the activation for it. I've got the row sense. I'd like it to work. So first things first, we're gonna do that. And then if for some reason it's still not coming on, the person we've been doing the auto steer stuff with, I'll call him and see if he can help me through it. But we're gonna be working on the combine a little bit, probably later this afternoon. There's a good chance we're gonna put the corn concaves in. And then I don't think we put a full 100 hours on this. I need to look back at how many engine hours was written down, and I think we're right at 100. We could probably make it work, but I'm guessing it might be worth it to just change all the filters. There's some stuff with the transmission system. We had a screen fall out and get chewed up by the transmission, and it caused problems, horrible problems, all through wheat harvest. It sucked. Made it take about twice as long as it should have, at least. I think we've kind of got it fairly cleaned up, but I think there's still a few things that were going kind of goofy. So I'm gonna drain that whole system, look things over, hopefully get it to where we don't have problems with that. Because when we're really having problems is popping up a stop code for the transmission, so it stopped the combine dead in its tracks. Not very fun. First, there's 2 or 3 times it happened going down the road. That was not fun. We got to where I hadn't been doing that. I think I've still got pictures. I'll put them up. Essentially, a plastic screen fell out of the top of the transmission, got chewed up by the gears, plugged the bottom transmission, and would throw goofy pressure codes to the combine. And we got it to where that quit happening, but there's still a few other things, like every once in a while I'd pop up a transmission oil temperature code too high, and then sometimes the steering would act up, and we've heard from a few people it is all tied into one. Other people say it's kind of tied together, kind of not. So I want to drain all that, go through it again, see if there's still some junk down in the bottom of something that's kind of plugging things up enough to heat the oil. So we need to do that, and just a few other kind of general maintenance things. I want to, while we have time and can't be doing anything, I want to try and get this ready so as soon as we need to go, we can go. So first things first, we got to let this software update finish. I'm actually going to go we've got the beacons that alert go off when you're 3/4 full and full. This one, it spins, but it doesn't light up. So we've got a new beacon. I'm gonna go, while this is messing with it, I should have shut the combine off and just left the key on, but it says not to mess with the key or anything, so I'm just leaving it run to do that. But I'm gonna go get that beacon and put it on real quick. This is a pretty simple fix. Just a thumb screw and connector. and it's on. Alrighty, I love a really easy fix. So we're up to the 25.2 now, the new, I guess what should be the current software, and we've got row sense now. And like I said, that's what those arms are right there. All I had to do was come into this original Greenstar monitor. Right there, it says row guidance option installed. That was flipped to no. So all I had to do was change that. And now I've got row sense. Because even though I've planted with RTK, and I'll be harvesting with RTK, or Mom will be harvesting with RTK, it still gets a little on and off. And like this year, my corn planter, I think one row was 30 inches, almost perfect for the guest row, and the other one was like 28 or something. So it is nice to have that working. Hopefully the stalks go right down the middle of the deck plates. For us, most likely we won't be picking anything more than 15%. If you don't do high moisture corn for a feedlot in our area, typically places don't really want it much more than 15, and that's depending on if there has been much dry corn coming in yet. If you're the first one going, I doubt they'll want 15. We don't dry. There's never really been a time we've needed to. Even in wet years when irrigation that will make 250 or something, it dries down. I think people kind of used to dry, but it's went away. I don't know of anyone that does anymore, or ever has since I've been alive. So most likely, the one place we might take Dad's Milo, I think they said they'd take up to, it's a hog plant. It's actually Smithfield. It's a feed mill for some of their barns that they have south of Yuma. I think their discount deal showed they take up to like 18 or 19%. I'd be interested to see what their price is right now. Right now it's kind of looking like we're going to take it clear up to Akron. It's not horribly far, but for hauling out of the field, not great. But most likely we'll stay under 15%, so it's nice to have the row sense. If it can go right down the middle of the row and not have to bend either which way because you're off the row, will be nice, because when you do that and you're going 4 mile an hour, 4.5 mile an hour, if it gets very dry, you can just see ears flinging off, and then you a lot of times don't catch them. So having the row sense working this year will be nice, and it was a simple fix. I just got back to the house with my truck and the Tempty grain trailer. There's a spot on one of the tanks on the back axles of the trailer that had an air leak in it, so we had to take it down to the welding shop at Siebert, let them do some welding on it before corn harvest, because it's really bad. So got that back. It's getting fairly late in the evening now. I hate doing this. This is all hydraulic oil. This is a part of the main engine gear case. It is tied in with that transmission system down there that we're messing with. It also, down in the bottom of this, is also a suction line for like the steering pump. Okay, it is the next morning. Gotta open everything up, get some shields off, get them out of the way, and I need to get the ram bars out of shed. So let's get some shields out of the way. I still have some shields on the other side, but we got this side open. So we need to take all 3 of these out. And then I believe we also need to, there are some spacers up in this dust. I believe for corn, we also need to set all these loose and put those spacers in between, and then also need to take all these out. We don't need those for corn. But don't judge me too much for the combine still being dirty. It is on the list of things to do after harvest. First things first, we went right into some summer fallow, and then not long after that, Dad had his accident and this thing kind of got neglected. So yes, still a little dirty. Don't judge me too much. Now that we got that side all done, we've got to come around and open up this side, because there are pins, one for each concave, that we got to get in through there and take it on this side so we can pull those ones out and put the new ones in. It is these right here that we now need to remove. They're pretty easy. Pull that pin out, and we'll have to readjust them. There's a deal right there that pops out. Either one of them's loose right now. So that pops out, you can pull a pin out, and now we're good to move these concaves out once we get these other two. Alright, so now we need to get our ground bar concaves out for corn. Right there, they're up there. Concaves are switched on down underneath the front of the combine. This is the transmission of the combine. I got the oil, most of the oil drained out of it. I'm going to take this big front plate off, see what the inside of it looks like. This is where we're having our problems, and this is what caused so many headaches for wheat harvest. I'm going to go through, see how clean it is. Hopefully it's fairly clean, and that means once I drain some of the stuff up top and look at a few things up there, maybe we have it cleaned out, finally be done with this problem. Because we definitely got cleaned up some and weren't having near the problems we had been. But there's still one or two little things here and there happening. So before we get started, because we do have like 11 or 1200 acres of fall harvest, I believe. Mainly one long move, the rest of it's all somewhat close. But I want to make sure we have this as clean as possible before we start, and hopefully have no problems. Okay, so if you could see all that gunk back in there, that's essentially what we were fighting this year at wheat harvest. I don't know, clear back up in there if you can kind of see it. There's a little metal screen now. There's supposed to be a plastic screen. OEM, there was a plastic screen that went from this side of the transmission to that cavity right there, and it kind of sat in that cavity, and then the fitting that you put in for this hose here would hold it into that cavity. Somehow something broke and it fell down into these gears, and all that junk that got down in there is what we were fighting. All these little pieces here, just little pieces of plastic, except like 10 times worse. If you remember the picture from earlier, I mean, it's the same thing as what's doing now as earlier in the picture, is it plugged that bottom screen up. Not near as bad, but we still fighting things here and there, so it's gonna be a bit of a process. All right, welcome back. Today's now Sunday. I don't know what the day is, but gonna do a little bit more to the combine. I got the screen out of the bottom of the main engine gear case out. It was a little dirty, there's a few things, but nothing horrible. That plugs back in. Front case of the transmission is back on. So now before we do anything, I need to go up to the main engine gear case, put some oil in. And with that system, once I put some oil in, guess I'll put like 3-4 gallon in. It might act full. Then I'll need to start it, let the combine run for a little bit, maybe move it back and forth a little bit, so then it can actually pump down to here. Put more in, run it around some more, do a few things, check it again. You have to kind of keep doing it, because what happens is it pumps from up top down into here to do everything down here, and then there's a pump right in front of the transmission that pumps it back up. So you gotta, it takes a little bit and it's kind of annoying. But that was kind of what our problem was, is it pumped down the transmission, but with that screen that got all chewed up, that then was sitting in a million tiny little pieces in the bottom of the transmission, it plug, it's actually that pump right there. It would it'd plug that screen up, that'd quit pumping, it'd fill the transmission full, and then the main engine gear case would have no oil left in it, but then this would pop up a goofy low pressure code. That was a stop code we were actually getting. We thought it was just something was leaking somewhere, so we put more oil in, do the same, then all of a sudden it start pumping again. And there's about 2 or 3 times we actually ended up with the main engine gear piece way too full, and it started boiling over and making holy smokes. Hopefully it was not too bad. Oh, just a big gust came up. then all of a sudden it just started bubbling over, making a huge mess of everything, and we have to drain stuff out. We did that I think 4 times before we finally found the actual problem, and now we're still dealing with it. And there's a good chance, I'm hoping we shouldn't have any problems with it this year, but might not hurt to still drain the transmission again next year before wheat harvest. But I guess we'll see where we get. So that's the first thing we're gonna do. So we're gonna put hydraulic oil in it, so then we can put the key back in it so we can start it. Because I took the key out and set it in the red Ford. That way, if someone for some reason got in, went to move it, the key wouldn't be there, and they'd understand the reason. So let's put some oil in. So to help kind of understand what kept going on, we're pretty sure this system only holds maybe 6 to 7 gallon, and that's like a heavy full on the dipstick. When we finally were told by a couple people after, I don't know, it took numerous amounts of phone calls to a John Deere dealer. I finally made a post on a group and on Facebook, kind of for 9000 series John Deere combines. I had 2 people tell me this at the same time. I was on the phone with a mechanic that had been in our area for a while, that then moved away. He actually overhauled our 8400 back at like 7500 hours a while ago. He told me at the same time as those other 2 guys to check the bottom of this transmission. When we went to drain the oil out of this, I think we caught around like 12 or 13 gallon, and there was about 2 or 3 gallon we probably closer to 1.5 gallon, 2.5 gallon that we didn't catch because there's so much pressure in the bottom of the transmission. When I took the plug out, it just shot out and made a mess everywhere. So we had probably about twice as much oil stuffed in there as what it should be. It was not fun to deal with. It was miserable. It was awful.